Hi, I'm Jas Mortier. This is already part 3 of my isolation project. I thought I was done, but I started to notice a horrible smell, and then the wool I was so proud of, I used, see my part 2 video, start to fall apart. You can see the moths inside. It was clearly infected or something when I got it. So the smell was horrible, it was falling apart. They were laying eggs even in the condenses on the back of my speakers. Well, it was horrible. So I figured I find again something new. Everybody really involved said you should take glass wool, but I could not find glass wool of the proper thickness, only the super thick stuff that they use for isolation of houses and stuff, I guess. So but I asked a specialized company, and they said I should use this stuff, and it's called Foam. It's of course a product name. I guess you can get similar products in different countries too. Especially designed for acoustic dampening and isolation, or especially for dampening, I think. So for inside of studios and also inside of cabinets. It's a bit more expensive than regular isolation, but I think I spent 35 bucks on this total for the 4 compartments, so for my A10 cabinet, so I think that's reasonable. So this is the stuff I got now. 2 plates. It looks actually ideal. One side is a bit more dense, so that's going to be against the walls of the cabinet, and the other side is a bit more fluffy, so a bit more open, so that's gonna be the inside. So that's gonna be that looks just really good, feels good. So this is a cross section of the stuff I used. I can show you. You can look right through it, but you see it gets more dense to the bottom. I think in total it's like 1 inch thick, 2.5 centimeters. It said on the package, it says it's partly recycled polyester, whatever that means. I also used polyfill, and I think a lot of people and a lot of companies use it because it's so easy to work with and super cheap, but it's for sure lighter, and it's all the way through light, so you can kind of look through it. I think for bass you need a bit more density, so I think my new stuff is pretty good. This is like, yeah, super, but it's a bit more thin too, but you can get this in different thicknesses, I think. So let's do a super sound check. This is with the isolation. Da 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 t da da. And here's the next one without isolation. Da da t da da da. Way more hollow and less bass, and more edgy high end, like echoey high end. So this is what I did. I recorded the bass line at home, and then I reamp it through my SVT, and trying to have a exact same setup in both situations. So I marked the position of the cabinet, and I measured the distance of the close mic, the RE20, and the distant mic. Distant mic is exactly halfway the cabinets, and then I just push run on my computer and have the pre-recorded bass line here. I don't have a proper reamp thing. I use a Big Shot preamp to boost the output from my DAW, but that's not the proper way to do it. That's why you hear some noises, but it's the idea that counts. So like I said, I pre-recorded the bass lines at home. At home I just have a simple setup, and I don't have a grounded system, so there's a small amount of buzz, but since I don't have a proper reamp kit in my studio, I had to crank my SVT, and then the buzz was really big. I applied some noise reduction to get rid of it. It affects a bit the high end, so but still I think you can hear the differences I was noticing. So I decided to still share the results. First I played a bass line on my precision with the flat wounds on my typical old school sound, and also a bit more high-endy sound with my jazz bass with round wounds, and I cranked the highs on the amp a little. So let's go. So this time I, for the first time, really hear and feel a difference. I think the difference with my first video with the mineral wool and no isolation at all was, I didn't feel too much difference, only a little bit, a little volume drop. I was pretty comfortable with the natural wool I used in part 2, like I showed in part 2. But that fell apart, so that was not really helping. But I didn't notice too much difference, but I just kept it in there. But this time I really felt immediately a difference. It's more warm, you can get more of a chubby, more of a SVT kind of sound, I think. Really enhances the character of the SVT setup, both with the amp and the closed cabinet. So I'm really happy. You lose a little bit of high end, top high end it is, but you get more focused sound. You lose a bit of this hollow MIDI sound, and the bass is really punchier and tight. Well, not per se tight, but punchier, just more focused. So that's what I think, and I felt it immediately when I was playing. That's the most important thing, I think, and I clearly hear it back in the recordings too. Sorry about buzz and the noise reduction, because that takes off some of the high end, so it makes the difference a bit less strong than without the noise reduction, but still. Let me know what you think. Hopefully you can find something similar if you want to look for something like this, something similar in your country. Okay, ciao.